Oi, mic testing, mic testing. Okay, perfect. Let me go to my main camera. Alright, we're live. And as you guys can tell by the title and thumbnail, today I'm going to be going through Typedef and Alias. Honestly, I don't have any idea whatsoever what they mean. But without any further ado, let me go to my gameplay screen. Maybe get that there. Get it here. Okay, and guys, I didn't usually I do sometimes review on what I'm going to be going through in my stream, but this time I didn't have time at all. So let's say maybe in all uppercase. Let's say I'm live exclamation. Okay, let's see. Listen up, chat. Vivek has entered the arena. He's not here to play. He's here to carve knowledge into his skull with fire and steel. Today he's going to face Typedef and Alias, and if he fails, I'll drag him through broken code until he begs for mercy. But if he conquers this, he levels up as a true C++ warrior. A sword isn't forged in flames and blows. A program is forged in errors and fixes. Oh, okay, guys, I read it wrong. A sword is forged in flames and bows. That's blows. Okay, now pay attention. Typedef, the older soldier. In ancient C and early C++ programmers used Typedef to give a nickname to a type. Example: Typedef unsigned integer unit. Hey guys, I'm not warmed up yet, so I might not be able to read that nicely right now. That said, now instead of writing unsigned integer x, okay, you could just write unit x. I think I see. Okay, it was useful when types were long and ugly. For example, Typedef unsigned long unit or long integer u big number 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Type alias modern way using C++ 11 gives a cleaner way using the same thing as Typedef, but much more relatable and flexible, using units equals to unit int. Okay, and it becomes even more powerful when working with templates, something Typedef struggles with. Template type name t using vec std ... or vector t. I don't understand whatsoever what this means. That said, why should you care? It makes code shorter, cleaner, and easier to read. Even if you need to change a type, say you move from integer to a long. Let's say a long. You only change it in one place instead of everywhere. Modern C++ prefers using Typedef, but you'll see Typedef in old code bases. You must know both. Okay. Alright, let me say. I feel, let me actually remove that because I realize you guys can't see the screen properly or ChatGPT/Sensei properly with that. I feel like I kinda understand ... although I still need a lot of practice. So maybe can you show me a reference code on how it is used ... and then maybe a broken code. Okay, let's see. Yo, how you doing, bro? Here, appreciate you joining the stream. That said, did I pronounce your name right? Borican? Oh, it's Borican. My bad, guys. I can't spell. Okay, good. You're catching the scent, but you're not yet biting the meat. Let me give you a clean reference first, so your eyes remember what good code looks like before I throw you into the mud. Reference code, Typedef, and using. So first we include IO stream. We include vector. Okay, I need to ask Sensei/ChatGPT what vector means. Old style Typedef unsigned integer unit. Okay, Typedef long. Is that 2 or double L's? Modern style using unsigned short using vec int. Okay, std vector. Okay, I think I see. I have a basic idea on what using does, because since before I used to be using namespace std or something like that. Integer main. Alright, let me actually ask Sensei a few questions. I feel like I have a few questions ... I've never heard of the angle braces vector. What does it do? Question mark. Bro, I'm not studying C, I'm studying full stack dev, but I like watching this while I study. Honestly, it sounds pretty good. Full stack does sound actually pretty good. I might actually try it eventually. Okay, good. You asked instead of staying ignorant. That's how you grow stronger. Vector. This is a header file in C++ that gives you access to the std::: vector class. Think of a vector as a dynamic array. A normal array in C++ has a fixed size. Once you decide it has 5 elements, it stays 5. A vector can grow and shrink as needed while the program runs. Example with a normal array. Integer array 3. Okay, integer array at index of 3. That's 1, 2, 3. Example vector. Okay, so vector is basically the toolbox that lets you use flexible container. It becomes extremely powerful when combined with alias instead of always typing vector. Okay, let me say one thing. So say I don't understand much, although can we do a few questions ? So I get a gist of it. Guys, this is what happens when I don't watch at least a YouTube tutorial before I start, because it gets a little complicating. That said, okay, let's see. Full stacks means full web development. In web development, you can be front-end dev, what you see, back-end dev, the servers, database, the part you don't see, or both full stack. Oh, I see. Okay, that makes sense. Alright, that's it. Okay, excellent enough. Okay. Here's your broken code. Alright, so let me copy the broken code. Say there. Let's go with the, and guys, this is a code that I wrote like last stream. I didn't like touch VS Code or programming in general because I've been doing my college stuff. That said, let's see. Okay, so first we include vector. It says wrong header. Okay, I think this is the header. So VEC. There we go. Guys, first I'm going to be solving a few broken codes to get a gist of it. Then I'm going to be moving on to instructional based code. That said, integer main, std vector int, broken function. Okay, back. I gotta ask you a few more questions. This is a pretty easy broken code. Okay, logic bug. I wouldn't know the logic. Wait, is this a for loop? I didn't even learn about for loops yet. I learned it in Python, not in C++. Oh, should I have gone with like learning about for loops, while loops inside C++ instead of going to Typedef or Alias? Okay, broken logic. It says logic bug. So, isn't there like a for loop here? For every integer, for every I equals to 0. Okay, let me just go with a control C. Get say here. Paste it at a bunch of spaces. Let's say. I actually don't understand the functions and maybe also the for loop because I'm used to doing it in Python. So can you explain it to me? Okay, let's see. Front end plus back end equals full stack. That honestly sounds pretty good. I might try it. Okay, good, you admit your ignorance. That means I can tear it apart and build you stronger. Listen carefully. Push_back function is a vector function. It takes a value and adds it to the end of the vector. Think of it like Python's .append. Oh, okay. So pushback is like .append. Example in Python. So we have an empty list of nums. We go with nums or empty list.append 5 and then nums.append 10. C++ version with vector, std vector, okay, std std::: vector, integer, nums.pushback 5. Oh, I see, okay, nums.pushback 10. Both grow the list dynamically. The for loop in Python you often write for every x and nums print x, okay. In C++ you can do something similar with a range-based for loop for every integer x, nums, std count with an insertion operator, x with another insertion operator, std end line. Okay, that's the clean way. But in the broken code, we use the index style loop like in Python for every index in range, length of numbers, print numbers at index 1. In C++, that looks like for every Okay, how do we read this? Because I know how to read in for loop, like for every index and range. Do we read something like for every I integer, which is equal to 0, I, something like that? Bro, you can use shift space for the sensei thing, and by the way, I also recommend you install ChatGPT instead of using web version. It's more comfortable. Honestly, yeah, I should like install ChatGPT as well. That said, notice the less than instead of less than or equal to, because num.size gives the count, say 3, and valid indexes are 0, 1, 2. If you try nums at index of 3, boom, out of range. Why this matters? Push underscore back equals to grow the vector, size equals to tells you how many elements. Okay, let me just say, so say, can we work on the push underscore back function first, because I need to get used to the others. Okay, I guess this stream isn't going to be about Typedef and type alias, guys. I gotta like learn these kind of small basics first. Okay, great. What pushback is shortened for? Okay. Pushback is a member function, std vector, that adds a new element to the end of the vector. It's basically C++ append from Python signature examples. Conceptual, void pushback. I don't even know what the void means. Const t and value. Copies value into the vector. Void pushback. Okay. What happens under the hood? Alright, I think I learned better like reading this. Example, practice, run this in your stream. Okay, I'll copy that for now. Include IO stream, we include vector as well. We go with integer main, std vector, integer numbers. Numbers dot pushback 1, numbers dot pushback 2, numbers dot pushback 3. Okay, and then we go with a std console output with an insertion operator. I want to insert size and then another insertion operator, number dot size. Okay, and then another insertion operator, capacity, number dot the capacity function. Alright, using a reserve to avoid reallocs. Does that mean is that how I pronounce it? Reallocs. Okay, we reverse. Okay, I just want to work with this part first. So let me say there. I'll go with the control A, control V. Alright, so I included IO stream, I included vector. If I were to go with the control S, save the command and run it, let's see what happens. Okay, it says size 3, capacity 4, numbers are 1, 2, 3. That could be because of the dot capacity function. Okay. So first I go with std vector integer. So does this typecast my vector to an integer? And then numbers. Okay, let me actually try this real quick, but not up. Let me just try that under. So I go with an integer main. I typecast my main function into an integer. And then I go with a pair of parentheses, a pair of curly parentheses, and then I type std vector, so standard 2 colon vector. I need to ask, why do we have an integer here and a numbers after that? Okay, so I'll go with std colon colon vector. There we go, and then a pair of ankle braces, and then I would need integer, okay, and numbers. So let's go with integer. Actually, I'll go with like a control Z here. There we go. Numbers. And then a semicolon. After that, I go with my numbers. So this might be my list. Numbers dot pushback 1, that appends a number to this. Okay, so let's do that. I'll go with numbers dot pushback push underscore back function. Okay, I want to push back 1, and then I'm gonna go with numbers dot pushback. So numbers dot pushback. There we go. Push underscore back function. I want to push back 2, and lastly, I'll go with numbers dot the push underscore back function. I want to push back 3. Okay, and then I go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to insert a string that's called text, then another insertion operator that inserts the size of my numbers. Okay, Do they say what the size does? Returns the number of elements in the percent vector. Okay, I might ask that as well. Okay, and then the numbers here is... Do I need to add a semicolon? There we go. Okay, I need to add a semicolon after every append. Alright, next up I gotta go with standard console output, so I'll go with std : This is gonna be my C out, which stands for console output. With an insertion operator, I'm inserting a string. This is gonna be called size. There we go. Okay, this is gonna be called size, and then I'm gonna be having another insertion operator, which is gonna be the size of my numbers. So I'll go with my numbers as list dot the size function. There we go. And then another insertion operator. Okay, and then another insertion operator. This is gonna be my capacity, so I'll add a comma, maybe zoom out a little, and capacity. There we go. Okay, and then let me go ahead and add another insertion operator. Go with numbers dot the capacity function. Okay, and lastly, I'll go with another insertion operator. Go with standard : end L, which stands for end line. Alright, and then we have a for loop. So I think this creates a list of numbers. I append stuff inside of my numbers. I give my total numbers and the capacity of my numbers, and then I iterate over every specific number. Okay, I think I'm starting to see how this works. Okay, let's go with for, a pair of parentheses, and now I'll go with an integer. So I typecast my x to an integer, so for every x which is typecasted to an integer, for every x in my list of numbers. Okay, what does this mean? So standard console output. Okay, I'm gonna insert my x, and then I'm gonna insert an empty space. Okay, standard console output, a new line. So this is like an empty print statement, I think, which gives me like an empty new line, or like a new line. I'll go with standard : C out, which stands for console output. Add an insertion operator. This is going to be x. I'll add another insertion operator and a empty space. Actually, a string. Actually, since this is a specific letter, I could like keep it in a single quotes as well. Okay, and lastly, I'll go with a standard : console output. Okay, and add a new line, an insertion operator. I'll go with : /. Okay, I think it's a backward slash. Okay, I'll go with a / new. That gives me a new line, and then return 0. Okay, let me go ahead and delete this code. Alright, if I were to go with Control S, save the command and run the command, it's gonna be saying size 3, capacity 4 by each individual number. Okay, why does it say capacity 4? Size is 3 because I have 3 stuffs in it, like 3 items in it. Okay, let's go with the Control C. Let me get Sensei here. Okay, let me paste it, go with Shift Enter and say Sensei. Okay, I wrote this code, but by copying the reference code, ... That said, I have a few questions, ... Okay, so what are my questions? The first question could be the std vector integer numbers. Okay, let me add a bunch of spaces, paste this. So, does this code mean that I'm creating a list of numbers which is typecasted to a integer ? Because of the vector ankle braces int. Okay, and what was my second question? My second question could be about the for loop ... And my second question is about the for loop. I don't know how to read it. Like for the for loops in Python, the way I've read it was, okay, let's see, the way I read it was something like, for every, let's go with for every I in my numbers. Okay, I read this as for every I in my numbers. If that made any sense, dot dot dot. And lastly, what does the dot size function do, question mark? Actually, what does the dot size function and the dot capacity function do, question mark? Okay, and there are so many typos. Okay, I'll fix the basic ones. Red, that's second, what, this is gonna be does, so does, that's gonna be have, that's gonna be reference, that's gonna be wrote, that's gonna be don't. Alright, perfect, let's see. Good, you've copied, but you also asked, that means your brain is alive, not dead. Now listen, I'll break down every piece until you can recite it in your sleep. Okay, std colon, so standard colon vector integer number. What does that mean? This line creates a vector that can only hold integers. It's not typecasting, it's actually templating. Okay, so it creates a vector that can only hold integers. So this vector can only hold integers. Honestly, when I learned about vectors in Python, I thought that vectors is basically, okay, I learned about vector 2. I think they're different. Vector 2 is like x-axis and y-axis. I might ask, what does that mean either? Okay, vector integer means make a vector. Every element must be type integer. I see. Okay, so standard, make a vector. Oh, okay. If you wanted strings, you'd write vector, string, okay. Standard vector, standard string. If you wanted double, standard vector, double. Excuse me guys, think of vector int as a Python list of integers. Numbers equals to a list, but in C++ you have to declare the type integer. So your code, standard vector integer numbers, make me a container called numbers that stores integers, range-based loops. Okay, code. So what is your working? Honestly, I was like thinking to work on Typedef and Typealias, but then later I realized I need to like work on some more basics because I didn't have enough time to research just on what I'm going to be doing today. So I went with I just went with a random general topic, but I got humbled real quick. So I'm working with whatchamacallit, on understanding basic C++ functions first, maybe some vectors as well. That said, range-based loops, your code for integer x, std colon colon, okay, read it exactly like Python. Okay, Python for every x in numbers, C++ for every integer x is the colon in. It means for each element in numbers, give me its value, call it x, and run the loop body. Okay, for every element, so this is the element, the integer element in numbers. Give me the loop body. The integer means every element will be treated as an integer. So you read it as for every integer x in my vector numbers. Okay, for every integer x in my vector numbers. So for every integer x, so the colon stands for in. That might be a question. I'll just type it out real quick. So let me actually copy this first so we know what question I want. Let me paste it. Go with a shift enter. Go with, so the colon stands for in, question mark. Okay, next up, let's see, dot size function versus the dot capacity function. Now this is where C++ flexes its muscles beyond Python. Dot size, number of elements currently inside the vector. 3, example, after 3 pushes, number dot size equals to 3 dot capacity, how much storage space the vector has already allocated. Vector allocate extra space ahead of time so they don't have to reallocate memory every single push. I think I see, maybe. Example, maybe after pushing 3 elements, dot capacity equals to 4, 6, or 8, depending on how the compiler decides. Think of it like a backpack. Dot size equals to how many items are currently inside the size. Dot capacity is how many items the backpack can hold before it needs a bigger backpack. Oh, I see. Okay, that makes sense. So we push back, we use the numbers dot push back 1, 2, 3, okay, and then we go with a standard console output with a insertion operator. Okay, number dot size 3, standard console output number dot capacity. Okay, our numbers backpack's capacity, maybe 4, maybe 6, depends. Summary in words warrior: vector integer, a dynamic list of integers for integer x in numbers. Okay, for every integer x in numbers, for each integer inside numbers, dot size, actual count, dot capacity, reverse space grows automatically as needed. Now Vivek, I want you to write a code yourself. This time do not copy task. Create a standard vectors, standard string called words. Use pushback to add 3 words of your choice. Print them using a range-based loop. Also print the dot size and dot capacity at the end. Okay, I will ask this question, but then after this, I'm going to go into that question. Okay, yes, exactly. In C++, is range-based for loop, the colon is essentially Python's in. Okay, perfect. That actually solves so many questions. That said, let me go here. And what was the instruction-based question since I said create a std vector? Okay, so I should include vectors. So let me go with the controller, delete the whole thing. And now let me start off by including something. I will be including, add a pair of ankle braces, the IO stream. And then let me go ahead and include something else. So I'll go with another hashtag include. This time I'm going to be including vector. Okay, I hope the vector is lowercase here. Alright, next up, let me typecast my main function inside to an integer and add a pair of curly parentheses. Go down. Alright, so it says create a standard vector string. So a standard vector that only holds strings called words. So how did we do this? So I could go with standard 2 colon. This is going to be my standard vector. Okay, my standard vector which is going to be holding strings. So I'll go with a ankle braces here, or ankle braces. Is it called ankle brackets? I think it's called ankle brackets. Okay, std colon vector ankle brackets. I'll go with a standard string. There we go. So my standard vector will only be holding standard strings called words. So did I have to add a colon words here and then a semicolon? Is this how it worked, guys? I forgot. How did that part work? Okay, I didn't need numbers. There we go. Yo, one sec, you changed the language? I changed the language. It says CPP. Doesn't CPP stand for C++? I changed the language. Now it's C++. Oh, okay, I think because I added the colon. Alright, my bad, guys. Okay, that said, what was the next thing that I had to do? Use pushback to add 3 words. So let's go with a pushback now. I could go with something like words dot the pushback function, the push underscore back function. I want to push back a word. The word is going to be a string. Let's see. I could keep it something like, I don't know, Sarah. And then I'll go with another words dot pushback from Python. Oh, I see. Okay. Said I. How doing one-sided gamer? I appreciate you joining this stream. Okay, that said, I'll go with another words dot the push underscore back function. I'm going to be pushing back another word. I don't know. Let's call this Dave. And lastly, let me go with another, but before that, I will have to end these with a semicolon. I'll go with a words dot the push underscore back function. This time I'm going to be pushing back a name. I don't know, maybe... Hi, how doing Silvana? Is it called Silvana? How doing Silvana? I appreciate you joining the stream. And guys, if I can pronounce you guys' names properly, it is because I'm a bit illiterate when it comes to pronouncing names. Yo, how doing Broken? I appreciate you joining the stream. Or it's Borikin, guys, my bad. Okay, I don't know what name. Maybe I'll just go with Borikin. There we go. Okay, words dot pushback Borikin. And then I gotta find use pushback to add 3 words of your choice. Okay, I added 3 words. Print them using a range-based loop. Also print the size and capacity at the end. So first, I do want to print the size and capacity. So I could go with something like standard. Let's say something like standard string. I don't know, guys. What was the next part? Okay, I'll go with standard. Okay, standard console output. There we go. Let's try to recall this. First, my bad. Let me know if working. Let me know if you didn't want me to put your name here. I couldn't think of any name. Okay, standard console output with an insertion operator. This is gonna be called something as let's see. I could go with my standard capacity, or I could go with like a size. There we go. I'll go with a size string, add another insertion operator. This is gonna be my words. My words is list, or my words is backpack dot the size function. There we go. Okay, and then I'll go with another insertion operator that is going to be having a string which says something like capacity. Let's go with capacity. Okay, my capacity is going to be having another insertion operator which is going to be something like my words is backpack dot capacity function. And then lastly, I'm going to go with another insertion operator, a standard end line. So standard end line. Okay, and then I'm pretty sure I iterate over all my words. So let's iterate over it. Said I, how doing so well? I appreciate you joining this stream. What is your dream? Honestly, I was thinking to be like either an AI engineer or a cybersecurity. I am kind of confused. Like, what do you want to do when you finish? I do want to actually like teach people as well, but for teaching them, I need to like learn it myself. That said, let's go with something like I could go with a for loop. So for a pair of parentheses, let's see. Oh, with C++. Yeah, I'm actually trying to master C++ for 100 days now. Okay, so for every integer x in my words is list, is this how we wrote it? I'm pretty sure this is how we wrote it, right? Okay, for every integer x in our words is list, I want to print something. Do I go with a semicolon here? Okay, I'm pretty sure like the words work. I might look at the reference real quick for the integer, like for the for loop, because I kind of forgot how that part works. Okay, this part was correct. Okay, I just maybe gotta go down. It shows to indent it. Like if I go censor here, like it says for every integer x in numbers, std standard console output x. There. Okay, that should be correct. Sylvana, what do you know about programming in Pygame? Okay, I've seen you use Python in Pygame. Honestly, I had like a Python for 100 series where my goal by the end of that series was to make a game using Python. I was done with that around 3 days ago. Although I do want to make my new goal for my programming for 250 days series is to make a game in general that includes AI in it / artificial intelligence, and I thought C++ would be a good asset for that, so I was learning it. Okay, that said, I'll go with something like a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be my x, so my integer x. Okay, although why does that show a line? I ended that with a semicolon. Okay, another insertion operator. This is going to be an empty string. Okay, there we go. Okay, and then lastly, let me go ahead and return 0. Said hi. How doing, Strider? I appreciate you joining the stream. Need string or auto? Need string or auto? I feel like something is wrong here. The compiler wants to convert the words to integers, so you need string or auto. Words to... Oh wait, this is integer. I think this needs to be a string. Okay, wait, hold up. There we go. That makes sense, guys. I was so stupid for some reason because my vector was just containing strings of words. This was an integer. That didn't make any sense. Okay, bye-bye, guys. That said, if I were to go with a Control-S to save the command, okay, and then I run the command for every integer x in words, okay, let me just delete this whole thing real quick. How do you, like... I remember there used to be, like, a trash can here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so it says size 3, capacity 4, Sarah, Dave, Borkin. Okay, let me go with the Control A, Control C. Yep, perfect. Okay, I think I'm getting a gist of how this works, guys. Let me paste out a bunch of spaces, say... Actually, instead of adding a bunch of spaces, I'll go with Shift Enter. Maybe just set it, Borkin, you don't need brackets for one line for loops. Okay, excellent. You actually wrote that yourself. Honestly, I don't take credit for this question because I didn't get help. Look at this. You created a vector of strings, used the pushback function, printed size and capacity, and used a range-based for loop perfectly. A few small notes to level up. Spacing in standard console output might want a space after the capacity for readability. Line break after printing words. Your loop prints them all in one line, which is fine, but usually you add stdnl at the end for a clean line. Okay. Other than that, you're hitting hard. This is exactly how vectors and pushbacks are meant to be used. If you want, I can throw a broken range-based loop with vector. Honestly, let me say, I actually want another instructional based question. ... Oh, I don't want to write that in caps. I'm used to JavaScript. It seems so rare. Honestly, I eventually do want to learn JavaScript as well. That actually sounds pretty fun. Oh, that sounds... Okay, good. I love that hunger. Let's level up. Here's our instruction discipline. Disciple, read carefully and execute. Create a vector of integers called scores. Use pushback to add 5 numbers of your choice. Print the size and capacity of the vectors. Use a range-based for loop to print each number. After that, double each number in vector. Hint: you can do that inside a normal for loop using indexes. Okay, I'm not used to using index here, but let's see. Print the updated vector using range-based for loop. I want to see the full program declaration. Okay, declarations, pushes, loops, everything. Okay, use pushback to add 5 numbers of your choice. Integers called sources. Okay, use a range-based for loop, a range-based. Let me say, I actually don't know how to use range in C++. Hey, why don't you learn to use Kali? Honestly, I actually might try that like after my Python for or program for 250A series, because my main goal is 250A series is learning on how to make a software / a game that includes an AI. Honestly, I might check if that helps with it, then I might learn it, because I'm learning almost anything that I might need for my 250A programming series. That said, so this is where the real training begins. Listen closely, disciple, because range-based for loops are your friends in C++. They have rules. Range-based for loops in C++ for every data type, variable, and container. Okay. Oh, I see. So this is something like for every X type. So this is a data type variable, that is a container. Okay, use variable here. Okay, data type, each element in the container, string, etc. Variable, temporary name for the element during this iteration. Container, the vector, array, or anything that supports iteration. Example with vector of ints. So a standard vector integer. Okay, we have a data type variable here. Okay, and a container of numbers, which is 1, 2, 3. For every integer x in numbers, print the x. Output 1, 2, 3. How to modify elements? I'm pretty sure it's possible in JS, JavaScript as well. You can use a pair of curly parentheses for one-line loops as well if you want. I just do it as a hobby. Been doing C++ for 3 years and played with JavaScript and TypeScript and other stuff. I didn't know for the looping thing works for if statements. Okay, by default, range-based loops give a... Okay, so is this like a range-based loop? So for every integer and x, note that and sign in numbers, x asterisk equals to 2 doubles each element in the vector. integer x is a copy, changing it doesn't affect the vector. Integer and x is a reference, changing it changes the actual element in the vector. Okay, combining print and update for every integer and x colon numbers, x asterisk to std count, printed immediately. Okay, let me say, so let's say before we start working with the and can we do a few more questions exactly like the previous one I did question mark. Okay guys, because I do want to get a quick gist out before moving on to new topics. Okay, here's your challenge. Create a standard vector string called fruits. Add 4 different fruits with pushbacks. Print the size and capacity. Print all fruits using a range-based loop. Okay, I don't know much about the range-based loops. Add one more fruit to the vector using pushback. Add one more fruit using pushback. 4 different fruits. Print all fruits. Add one more fruit. Print the updated size. Print all the fruits again. This will force you to practice vector growth loops at pushing. Okay, I think I know how to do this. Okay, I had extreme bugs in my software when I rewrote my code and forgot about the and. Oh, that actually sounds pretty... Like, I can't even imagine if I have like a 300 lines code, like a 400 lines code, and like I, for example, didn't even like add a didn't add 2 colons here. I think that the editor shows it, but then if I like miss something like that, it would be really hard for me to figure it out. Okay, let's go to the controller, delete the whole thing. Let me start off by including IO stream. So I'll include IO stream. Okay, a pair of angle brackets. This is gonna be, actually I'm gonna include here. There we go. Let me include IO stream. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to be including something else. Let's include a pair of angle brackets. I'm going to include vector. Okay, range base is with the type thingy. Oh, I see. Okay. Okay, so the type. So range base. Okay, I think it's like the standard vector string that creates a list of vector. Okay, let me start off by converting my main function or typecasting my main function to an integer, add a pair of curly parentheses, and then let me go ahead and create a loop. So actually not a loop, a list first. So I'll go with something like a standard colon. This is going to be standard vector. Okay, standard vector, a pair of angle braces. That's going to be a string. So I'll go with a standard string. Okay. Let me complete the angle braces or like close it. Okay, so vector. I think it is closed. Excuse me guys, standard vector. Okay, standard vector is a string. Because thingies is the range. Instead of setting like I equals 0, I is less than 10, I plus plus, which has I less than 10 as the like objective. I see. But actually I might sheet the reference really quick for this part because I forgot how do we create a container. Okay, so we go with string vector type. I did go with string vector type, and then std vector. Okay, std string, and then words. If I were to type words here, would that like make it correct? I feel like this part is correct. So std colon. Wait, does this need to be? There we go. STD string, this is killing me. Guys, that was actually pretty awful. Oh my gosh. Why did I go with string? Okay, next up, let me go ahead and add the pushback. So I'll go with my words as list. So words dot the push underscore back function. I want to push back something. Let me push back 1. And then I'll go with words dot the push underscore back function. not string and std, id, c++, std. Yes, I'm so used to typing str for string to like typecast it to a string. It's gonna take me like a good few days to get used to the std string. Okay, I'm gonna push back 2 here. Actually, since these are fruits, I could go with like fruits here. And this can be something like apple. Let me add a semicolon here. Okay, actually a semicolon should go outside. There we go. And this could be something like a banana. I'll go with a colon outside as well. Maybe capitalize the apple. Okay. Words dot pushback. This is going to be fruits. Fruits dot pushback and fruits dot pushback. Would be str if str was the namespace. Oh, I see. You can add the top use. Alright, lastly, I need to add 4 fruits, right? So I'll go with fruits. The fruits dot push underscore back function. I want to push back another fruit. This is going to be a pineapple. Okay, and then let me go ahead and add a semicolon. And lastly, I'll go with a fruits dot the push underscore back function. I want to push back another fruit. I don't know, I'll go with coconut. Okay, there we go. And then I iterate over my fruits. So what was the next thing that I had to do? So it first is create a str and then add 4 different fruits using the pushback, print the size and capacity of the vector. So first I gotta print the size and capacity of the vector, then add another fruit and print the updated one. So I could go with a for loop for every exclamation or for every pair of parentheses. Okay, since my vector only contains strings, I'll go with a standard string. There we go, a standard string. Okay, standard string fruit. Okay, for every standard string fruit in fruit. There we go. For every standard string in my fruits list. For every standard string fruit in fruits. Okay, there we go. This makes sense, right? I want to print something. Let's go with a standard console output. I'll go with a standard cout, standard console output. You can make custom namespace like namespace, by namespace. This returns 1 pair of parentheses, return 1, and you can call it with my namespace. This returns 0. Honestly, yeah, I was thinking to like keep this video topic learning about namespaces, but then I thought that Typedef and Alias might be better than that, so I created a thumbnail for that. But next time I honestly might go over the namespacing using string equals to std string. It's Monday, not really recommended. It's Mr. Monday, not really recommended as it can have problems with libraries and is not used in professional projects. I know, but he's clearly learning. Honestly, I could like do it for learning, but then if like it's not recommended and like people usually use the standard, I might just go with the standard. Okay, so I'll go with a standard console output. I want to output something. Let's see. Let me output something using a insertion operator. This is going to be my size. So let me add size. Another insertion operator. This is going to be my fruits container dot the size function. There we go. And then I'll go with another insertion operator. Let me add a capacity here. There we go, capacity. My capacity, honestly, I might add a comma here. There we go. Okay, my capacity is going to be another standard operator or like insertion operator. This is going to be my fruits container dot the container function or the capacity function. Okay, perfect. And then I'll go with another insertion operator and end my line with a semicolon. Okay, fair. I used std in the beginning. Honestly, yeah, if like std is like what I'm eventually like when I'm going to be using a lot, then I might just learn using std. But just for like a basic idea, I might go through some namespacing too. There is some advanced C and C++ projects, therefore red teaming. Oh, I see. Okay, so this is going to print my current namespace. So it says print namespace. Then add 1 more fruit to the vector using pushback, print the updated size and updated capacity, print all fruits, again using a range-based loop. Okay, so now I gotta append 1 more. So I'll go with my fruits list. dot the push underscore back function. I want to push back something. Let me push back another fruit. I don't know, it's like tomato considered a fruit. I think I'll go with cherry. There we go, cherry. Okay, I push back cherry. Let me add a semicolon here. And then I'm going to go with a for loop now. For every pair of parentheses, standard string, for every standard string in, for every standard string fruits in my list of fruits. Okay, I want to go with standard colon colon, or like my standard console output insertion operator. I'm going to be inserting my size first, my updated size. Okay, and then I'll go with another insertion operator. This is going to be my fruits dot my size function. Then let me go with another insertion operator. This is going to be my capacity, so capacity. Capacity. There we go. This is my capacity. I'll go with another insertion operator, my fruits dot the capacity function. Okay, and honestly, let me go with a, I think it was like a shift Z or like a control. Okay, in my end line, did I like write my end line correct? There is a semicolon here, but it still shows a red underline. I'll go with the end line here as well. Okay, why does my end line show a red underline here? I think because I didn't return 0. Let me go ahead and return 0. Okay, I'll return 0, ended with a semicolon. Or is that because like I did add a semicolon here and here? Okay, I added a semicolon there. This end line works. For some reason, this end line doesn't. For every fruit and fruits, we cannot see. Oh, let me like try getting it here. There we go. Like here, can you guys see this part? So like fruits dot capacity. And honestly, I am streaming like horizontally as well. So in the horizontal stream, you guys can like probably see the entire display. That said, okay, what happens if I like go with a control S, so like a control S to save everything? If I were to run the command, I get an error. Oh, a standard end line. There we go. I forgot the standard end line. Okay, guys, how do I keep forgetting this stuff? It's supposed to be really easy. There we go. Okay, STD, not STR. Standard end line and standard end line. There we go, guys. That was actually such a silly mistake. Part of the namespace STD. Okay, let me go with the control S to save. If I were to run the command, okay, did I like print all these? Okay, wait, let me just delete that whole thing. Maybe go there, do that. Okay, now if I were to go with the control S and run the command again. Okay, it says size 4, capacity 4, capacity 5. Okay, is this what Sensei wanted? Let's go with the control C. Let me get Sensei here. Okay, if I were to basically add a bunch of spaces, let's say Sensei. Actually, instead of adding a bunch of space, I'll go with Shift Enter. Now, let me say Sensei. I feel like I messed up question mark, but it seems correct as well. Okay, let's see. Oh, yes, disciple, you're close, but you're mixing two things. I see what you did, and I will teach you. Okay, I'll teach you why it's not quite right. The issue, look at these lines. For every standard string fruit in my container of fruits, I go with standard console output size, fruit.the size function, standard console output capacity, fruit.the capacity function, and then I go with a standard insertion. Actually, I go with the insertion operator, standard end line. The loop runs once every fruit, but you're printing the same size and capacity every time. You're not actually printing the fruit name. Right now, it repeats the size and capacity multiple times. What you wanted instead, print size and capacity once, then print each fruit separately in the loop. Okay, so I go with main IO stream, print size and capacity once. Okay, and then I iterate over all my fruits, print all fruits. Okay, add one more fruit, I print my capacity, okay, and then I print all fruits. What this fixes, size slash capacity is printed once per state, not once per fruit. Fruits are printed individually like a proper list. Take away range based for loops are iterating over elements, not for printing metadata. Repeatedly, metadata size slash capacity belongs outside the loop unless you specify what you check per element. If you want, okay, I think I see. So order of operations on PC to watch your stream now. I appreciate you, Jultaman. I think that's how you pronounce it. I appreciate you, Jultaman. That said, okay, let me fix this. So let me get this part, copy that, delete this whole thing, maybe go down here, paste it. Okay, so first I print my fruits and then I iterate over my fruits. So first print the updated size and capacity. Okay, and then I iterate over my fruits, although there is one more thing that I gotta do. I gotta go with a standard output, although this thing is gonna be indented. So let me indent this and go with a standard cout. This is gonna be having an insertion operator. I'll go with fruit, another insertion operator, and I'm gonna be ending my line. So standard end line. Okay. And I'll do the same thing for this. Copy that, delete that from there. I append a fruit. I print my updated list of fruits. Okay, congrats bro, when I see the live 2 days before you start the basics, now you start vector, it's really awesome. Honestly, I appreciate you so much, Monster. I still feel like this is the complete basics. Like I can't wait to like move on to like better and like real good making the game stuff and everything, although the basics are the fundamentals, so gotta practice them properly. That said, I'll go with standard. Okay, standard cout insertion operator. This is going to be my fruit. Another insertion operator, standard end line. Add a semicolon. Okay, this is going to be indented, so let me indent this inside of my for loop. Maybe I add a space here. Okay. Do I need to add like... Okay, after I go with my fruit, instead of ending the line, I could go with the empty space. That's what like Sensei/ChatGPT did. Okay, there we go. And then I return 0. If I were to go with a Control S, save the command. It's in Swedish, so quite hard to say. It means Santa. Oh, I see. Okay, that actually sounds pretty cool. Bro, where do I get C++ course for free best one? Honestly, the one that I use is like ChatGPT for now. Although I did like watch a YouTuber like the first 10 minutes. He is called like Bro Code. You guys could like check him out. He's actually pretty good. Although when I tried him for like Python, it did work. But then I feel like until I don't get extra practice with the question, it's a bit hard. That said, if you do want like a roadmap on what to do, you could like mention me, like join my Discord and mention me on my Discord server, and I could DM you the C++ roadmap that I'm using. That said, if I were to run the command, okay, if I were to like run the command, there we go. Wait, let me just delete everything and run it again. Okay, it says size 4, capacity 4, apple, banana, coconut. Okay, size 5, capacity 8, apple, banana, pineapple, cherry. Okay, let me go with a Control C, get Sensei here. Okay, let me paste it, add a bunch of spaces. Actually, I'll just send it. I used solo learn and making custom projects in the start, but talking to ChatGPT seems to be good. W3 school and free code camp for my recommendation to learn CPP. Thanks, buds. Okay, now we're talking, disciple. Look at this. This is proper. Okay, you're printing size and capacity only once per state using a range-based for loop to print all fruits individually, adding a new fruit and repeating the print properly. This is exactly how vectors and range-based for loops are supposed to be used. A tiny improvement for readability on the stream. Add line breaks after printing fruits. So for every standard string fruit in my list of fruits or in my collection of fruits, standard console output with an insertion operator, fruit, another insertion operator. Okay, an empty space, standard console output, string, end line, adds a new line. Other than that, you nailed it. If you want, next I can push you into modifying elements in a vector using reference, and this will level you up. Okay, let me just say, Sensei, can we do about 5 more questions in this topic and then move on to the ant question mark? What do you think about the new Indians stuff? Honestly, I don't have much clue about politics or like about visas and everything. That said, perfect. I like that discipline. 5 more questions and you'll be strong enough to handle references. Here's question 1. Follow instructions to convert it yourself. Create a standard vector integer called temps, push 6 numbers representing temperatures and numbers you like, print size and capacity, print all temperatures using a range based for loop, add 2 more temperatures, print updated size, capacity and temperature again. Write the full program. Disciple, no copying. I want to see your hands in the code. Okay, if I were to get Sensei there, it says create a standard vector which contains only integers called temps. Push 6 numbers representing temperatures, any numbers you like. So let me go with the controller, delete this whole thing. Okay, what happens if I run the command and like delete everything? There we go. So let me start off by including IO streams. So I'm gonna include, add a pair of angle brackets, the IO stream. Okay, there we go. Did I spell IO stream correct? STREAM. Okay, and then let me go ahead and include vector as well. So include angle brackets. This is gonna be vector. Alright, perfect. Next up, let me go ahead and let me typecast my main function inside of into an integer and then go with a pair of curly braces. Maybe go up. Alright, so firstly, it says create a standard vector integer. Okay, so a vector which only contains integers called temps. So I'm going to be creating a standard vector, a pair of angle brackets. This is going to be a standard. Actually, this is just going to be integer because we don't need to add standards for integers. That said, standard integer temps. Okay, so temperatures. So we have a vector container that contains only integers and the list is called temps. Okay, congrats, you're growing up. I appreciate you, Ninja. I learned about and pointers while list making a big project that did not scale well. I added and reference and really important and will be fun seeing you learn about them. Honestly, I might just learn that in that case. Cool stuff you're doing there, man. I appreciate you. Tinang, guys, I'm real bad at pronouncing names. That said, just remove include IO stream and include vector. Just use the include bit/stdc++h or ++.h just for practicing purposes, not the developing purposes. Honestly, I might actually look into that. Okay, so first I go with a standard vector and then let's see, let me append something / push something inside of my temperature. So I'll go with my temps as variable. Temps.the_push function. Temps.push. I want to push something. Push_back function. Okay, so it says push 6 numbers representing temperatures, any numbers you like. So first number could be something like 80 degrees Fahrenheit, I don't know. And then I'll go with something like temps.push_back. I'm going to be pushing back something like 35 degrees Fahrenheit. Then I'll go with temps_push or like temps.the_push_back function. I want to push something like 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Add a semicolon, temps.the_push_back function. This is going to be something like, I don't know, let me fix my back. I'll go with something like 88 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, and lastly, second lastly, I'll go with temps.push_back. This is going to be 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Lastly, temps.push_back. I want to push back something like -10 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, guessing that imports all common libraries. Oh, I see. Okay, temps, there we go. Okay, next up it says print the size and capacity. So I'll have to print the size and capacity, print all temperatures using a range-based for loop. At 2 more temperatures, print the updated size. Okay, so first, now that I added everything inside of my container of temperatures, let me iterate over it. So I'll go with 4. Before I go with 4, let me print a list first. So I could go with a standard, let's go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be, let's say something like size. So in a double quotes, I'll go with size in a pair of double quotes. And then another insertion operator. This is going to be my temps container dot the size function. There we go. And then I add another insertion operator. This is going to be my capacity. There we go. And for my capacity, I'll go with another insertion operator. This is going to be my temps container dot the capacity function. And then lastly, I'll go with another insertion operator and end my line with a semicolon. Honestly, I might add a space here as well, so like a comma space, and before my end line I'll go with standard end line. Okay, perfect. Now let me iterate over my container. So I'll go with 4, a pair of parentheses. I never used it, but it seems pretty cool. Okay, so for let's say for every integer of temp, okay, for every integer temp in my temps container, I'm going to be doing something. Let's see. Indenting inside of my for loop, I'll go with a standard console output. So a standard console output with an insertion operator. I'm going to be inserting my temp with another insertion operator of empty space. Okay. And then maybe I'll add a semicolon, go to a new line, go with another standard console output. So C out, add a insertion operator. This is going to be my standard end line. Okay, there we go. And then I need to add 2 more temperatures. So let's go ahead and add 2 more temperatures. I could go with my temps dot the pushback. Okay, the push underscore back function. I don't know what temperature. I'll go with like 60 degrees Fahrenheit. And then I'll go with a temps dot push underscore back. This is going to be something like, let's see. Let's go with 77 degrees of Fahrenheit. And now I'm going to be printing my updated list. So I could go with something like std : standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be my size. And then I'll go with an insertion operator, my temps dot the size function. Okay. And then I'll go with another insertion operator, add a pair of parentheses. This is going to be my capacity. Okay, my capacity, I'll go here, add another insertion operator. This is going to be my temps container dot the capacity function. Alright, perfect. And then lastly, I'm going to go with another insertion operator, standard ends line with a semicolon. Alright, and then I iterate over my container again. I'm back 60 degrees Fahrenheit, guys. I do not know how much degree is that actually. Like, I mean, I do have a clock here that says the temperature. Although I do know how to convert temperature to like Fahrenheit / Celsius in in Python. I don't know much about in C++. By the way, in C++ 23, they added std standard print to replace standard console output that just follow the Python style to print out support formatting. Honestly, that I actually need to look into that. The second standard console output with the NL should not be indented, as it may look like it's a part of the loop, but it gets ran after without the pair of parentheses. It only runs once. Oh, it only runs one line with the curly parentheses. It runs everything between. Oh, okay. So should I add this inside of a pair of? Let me actually copy that. Delete that, go with a pair of curly parentheses. Does this make any sense? Okay, let's see. Let me go with another for loop. So I'll add for a pair of parentheses for every integer temp in in my list of temps, so colon temps. Okay, I'm gonna go with a pair of curly parentheses, and I'll paste that. Okay, there we go. Lastly, I'll go ahead and return 0. Let me return 0. And I do got else to say about this part. No, you want the new line after? Oh, I see. Okay. Okay, I don't remember that part. My bad, guys. Hold up. Let me go here. Okay, there we go. So my new line needs to be after. That makes much more sense. Okay, so the only thing that's the part of my loop is my standard console output, which is my individual temperatures that is separated by a space, and then each temperature is going to be in a new line. Okay, that makes so much sense now. Let me just copy that and paste it here. Okay, maybe shift tab to de-indent. Okay, this is going to be indented. That's going to be here. But it should not be indented as you want all temperature on line. This new code will bring one temperature new line, one temperature new line. Honestly, I think that's what Sensei asked for. Perfect. Okay, size 6, capacity 8. These are the temperatures. Okay, 80, 75, 100, 88, 0, -10. Okay, size 8, capacity 8. Perfect. Let me go with the control A, control C. Get Sensei here. Okay, let me paste it. Go with shift, enter, and say Sensei, I feel like I'm getting a gist of it. Okay, maybe use some lip balm. Excellent, disciple. Look at this. You're starting to grasp the rhythm of vectors. You push elements, you print size and capacity, you loop over them with range-based for loops, okay? You add more elements and print again. This is exactly the pattern you will use over and over in C++. Your logic is rock solid, your syntax is clean, you're starting to think like a real C++ warrior. Honestly, guys, I don't take much credit for this question because I did get help. That said, let's keep the fire going. Here's your question 2 out of 5. Create a standard vector container that only contains strings called cities. Push 5 city names of your choice, print the size, okay, print all city names, add 3 more cities. Okay, let me say, can you give me the names of 8 cities? Yeah, guys, I'm kind of bad with almost anything I do once I don't learn it. Okay, alright, perfect. Let me get Sensei there. Let's go with the controller, delete this whole thing. Let me start off by including let's include anchor brackets, IO stream. Okay, and then let me go ahead and include vectors as well. So I'll include vectors. So in a pair of anchor brackets, I'll go with vector. Alright, perfect. And then let me go ahead and actually typecast my main function inside of an integer, go with a pair of curly parentheses, and then let's go ahead and add a standard vector container that only contains strings. So I'm going to go with std : vector. Excuse me, guys, a pair of anchor brackets. This is going to be a standard : string. So this container is only going to be containing strings in it. And this is going to be called cities. Okay, perfect. And then let me go ahead and push a few cities to it. So what were the city names? Tokyo, New York, Paris, London, Sydney, Cairo, Rio, and Moscow. Okay, so let's go ahead and add them. Might go here. Okay, so firstly, I'm going to go with my cities as variable. So cities dot the push _ back function. I want to push back a city name. Okay, there we go. Okay, so my city name is going to be in a string. This is going to be Tokyo. And then I'm going to be adding a semicolon going with cities dot the push _ back function again. This is going to be called New York, so I'll go with New York. Okay, I'll add a semicolon. And then I'll go with cities dot push _ back function to append something inside of my list of cities. This is going to be Paris. There we go. and then I'll add another semicolon here, and then I'll go with cities.the push underscore back function. This time this is going to be London. Okay, and then let's see, that's 4, and lastly I gotta go with Sydney. So cities.the push underscore back function, I'm going to be pushing back Sydney. So there we go. Add Scotland, add Stockholm for me. Okay, let's do with that. And guys, I don't know if I pronounced that correct. Okay, so it's spelled as Stockholm. So Stockholm. Okay, I hope I spelled that correct. That said, what was the next step? Okay, so the next step is to push 5 cities, print the size and capacity. So let's print the size and capacity. So I'm going to go with a standard console output. My console output is going to be having an insertion operator. I'm going to be going with a string that says size. Then let's go with another standard, actually, and another insertion operator. This is going to be my cities as container dot the size function. Okay, I'll go with another insertion operator. Now for the capacity, I'm going to go with something like comma space capacity. Okay, and then another insertion operator. This is going to be, let's see, my cities is list dot the capacity function. Hi, howdy Gwyneth, I appreciate you joining this stream. Capital of Sweden. Oh, that's pretty cool. Okay, let me go with another insertion operator. This is going to be a standard end line. Okay, with a semicolon. Okay, I'll go with a new line and now iterate over my containers. So I'll go with a for loop, a pair of parentheses. This time for every, let's go with a standard string for every string of a city. In my list of, actually instead of in, I'll go with colon in my list of cities. There we go. I'm going to be indenting it inside of my for loop and typing something like, let's see, I'll go with a standard console output. My output is going to be something like, let's see, I added an insertion operator. This is going to be my city. Another insertion operator. I'm going to be adding an empty space, ending it up with a colon, and then going outside my for loop and typing something like standard console, actually, a standard console output. This is going to be a standard colon end line. Okay, there we go. There's going to be 2 colons here. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then add 3 more cities, print updated city capacity and all cities again. Okay, I got to be adding 3 more cities now. Okay, so outside my for loop, I'm going to be adding 3 more cities. So I could go with my cities is container dot the push underscore back function. I want to push back another city. Let's see what city this should be. Cairo. So let's go with Cairo. Okay, I want to push Cairo and then I want to push another city. So cities is container dot the push underscore back function. This is gonna be Rio, or is it called Rio? Pretty sure it's called Rio. Maybe I'll add a semicolon there and a semicolon here. And then I'll go with cities.the push underscore back function. This is going to be, let's see, Moscow. Okay, perfect. Then I'll add a semicolon here. Next up, let me iterate over my cities. So I'll go with for repair of parentheses. Every standard console output. Okay, honestly, instead of console output, I'll go with for every standard string. In my list of cities, for every standard string of city in my list of cities. There we go. I'm gonna do something. Let's go with standard. Did I spell cities correct? Let me copy that, paste it here. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna indent under my for loop and go with a standard console output. So cout, add a pair of, actually add a insertion operator. This is gonna be my city, my standard string, which is city. 2 more insertion operators or just 1 insertion operator. Okay, there we go. And then outside my for loop, I'm going to be adding a standard console output, add an insertion operator, a standard end line. I'm going to be ending my line. Okay, perfect. And above my for loop, I'm going to be printing my updated list of cities. So I'll go with a standard console output, so C out. Maybe go with the insertion operator. This is going to be my cities. I might go with size actually. So size, there we go. I'll go with an insertion operator and then go with my size dot, actually my cities dot the size function. Okay, and then I'm gonna go with another insertion operator. This is gonna be my capacity. So I'll go with comma capacity. There we go. This is gonna be, let's see, another insertion operators. My cities is container dot the capacity function. Okay. And lastly, I'm gonna go with an insertion operators, a standard colon end line, and ending that with a semicolon. Okay, perfect. Let me go ahead and return 0. I'm gonna return 0 semicolon. If I were to save the command by pressing Control S, and if I run the command, let me just delete the previous command. Okay, if I run the command, it's gonna say size 5, capacity 8, Tokyo, New York, Paris, London, Stockholm. Is that how you pronounce it, guys? And then a new size 8 and capacity 8. The cities are Tokyo, New York, Paris, London, Stockholm, Rio, Rio, and Moscow. Okay, I think I should have added like a colon after everything. That would sound much better. That said, let's go with a control S. Let's go Sensei here. Paste it, add a bunch of spaces. Let's say Sensei. Actually, instead of adding a bunch of spaces, I'll go with Shift Enter. Okay, so Sensei, I feel like I understand this now, dot. So we could do 3 more questions. Actually, yeah, let's do 3 more questions. Okay, I was like, I could have either moved on to like ant, but might as well. There are just 3 more questions. Exactly, disciple, you nailed. Look at this, you nailed it. Vector declared correctly, pushback used properly, size and capacity printed, small typo, capacity, but your logic is perfect. Range-based for loops print each city. Adding more cities works. You're actually internalizing how vectors grow and how to iterate over them. This is the foundation of C++ dynamic containers. We've built a solid base. Next, we move into modifying elements inside vectors using reference, and this is where you can double values, change strings, or manipulate elements directly without making copies. Honestly, I might just go with this. Okay, let me say ready, Sensei, dot. But before we start with any questions, can you explain the concept to me and maybe show a reference code as well so I understand ? Guys, I have like so many typos. Good, you ask. Okay, good, you ask. I give. Listen carefully, disciple, because this is where vectors get dangerously powerful. Concept: range-based for loops with references and. So far, your range-based for loops gave you a copy of each element. That means if you change x inside the loop, the original vector doesn't change. Example with copy: a standard vector integer, so we have a vector container integer, that is our numbers, equals to a dictionary of 1, 2, and 3 for every integer. Okay, for every integer x in our numbers is list, x multiplied by 2, this only changes the copy. For integer x prints 1, 2, and 3. Oh, I see. Okay, I think I see. Excuse me, guys. Notice how the vectors didn't change. That's because x was a copy of elements, of each element. Reference, and if you want to modify the actual elements in vector, you use a reference. STD, so standard vector integer numbers equals to a dictionary of 1, 2, and 3. Or is this even, I don't think this is called a dictionary. It might be a set or something. I might have to ask that. Okay, for every integer and x numbers, note the and. X multiplied by 2, this changes the actual elements in the vector. Okay, I think I see. For every integer x in our numbers, standard console output, okay, and then an I forgot what was this called, an insertion operator x, another insertion operator, an empty space, prints 246. integer and x. X is a reference to the actual element in the vector without the and. X is just a temporary copy and changes vanish after the loop. Why this matters? You can update numbers, strings, or objects in place. Don't waste memories making copies. This is a critical performance, especially with big vectors or complex objects. Example, with strings we included IO stream, we included vector. The typecaster, our main function inside of an integer, went with a pair of curly parentheses. Create a standard vector container of fruits that just contains strings in it. Okay, our fruits are apple, banana, and cherry, and then we iterated over our list. So for every standard string and fruit, the and fruit doesn't give a copy, it changes the actual elements inside of our list. Okay, fruit increases by. Oh wait, we can add the plus equals as well instead of the. Okay, append pi to the actual string in the vector for every string fruit in our list of fruits. Okay, std count. Alright, output apple pie, banana pie, cherry pie. Oh, I see. Okay. Alright, that makes sense. So fruit, a space, pie. So this doesn't add a new stuff to our list. Like this doesn't append something new to our list. It just adds it, append pi to the actual string in the vector. So apple pie. I see. See, the vector elements were changed directly. Okay, let me actually ask you a quick question. Let me copy that. Okay, let me paste it here, add a bunch of spaces and say, so let's say in Python, we call this pair of curly parentheses a set or a dictionary if it contained key value pairs. So key value pairs. What do we call it in C++? Okay, let's see. Oh, disciple, you're thinking in Python. Good, let's break it down C++ style. In C++, a pair of curly parentheses by itself is initializer list syntax. It's not a set, it's not a dictionary, it's just a list of values used to initialize containers or variables. So standard vector, fruits, so we have a list of fruits that just contains strings. Apple, banana, cherry. Here's list. Okay, your list or a pair of curly parentheses is an initializer list feeding values into the vector. Integer numbers. Okay, same syntax works for arrays. I honestly haven't learned about arrays yet. That said, sets and maps in C++. If you want Python like sets or dictionaries, sets, so standard set, integer. Oh, okay. Dictionary key value pair, standard map. So standard map, okay, std string, integer. Okay, I think I understand what this means. Unordered version exists to, okay, exists to, Alright, let me say, I see, ... Alright, so let's say, I think I'll leave collections for another stream. Can we work on the end now? The end now? Oh, I went with 7. Whoops. Let me edit that real quick. Can we work on the end now? There we go. Excellent. Finally, we're stepping into the real power. Listen to the disciple. Okay, quick recap. Normal range. Okay. It's a copy. Changing it changes nothing in the vector. Reference. Okay. Is a reference to the real element. Changing it modifies the vector. Reference example. Okay. Reference example. Okay. Now, disciple, I'm going to test you. Your first instructional reference-based question. Create a standard vector integer called scores with 5 numbers. You read Twitch chat. Honestly, I should actually read Twitch chat as well. I just have 2 monitors, one for my horizontal chat and one for my vertical. I should actually read my Twitch chat as well. Yep, good pronunciation. This was the problem in my code. It was copying a bunch of textures for drawing instead of using a reference. Oh, I see. Hey, let me just check if my kick stream's working good as well. Yeah, usually I forget to read Twitch chats and Kick chats, but I need to actually keep them open as well. That said, let me get Setsei there. Okay, let me go with a Control A, delete this. And let me start off by including a pair of anchor brackets, my IO stream. And then let me go ahead and include vectors. So I'll go with include. There we go, a pair of anchor braces. This is going to be my vector. Okay, next I'm going to typecast my main function inside of an integer, add a pair of curly parentheses, and maybe go down. Okay, so the first thing I gotta do is create a string vector integer called score with 5 numbers. Print the vector using a normal range-based for loop. So first, let me go with a standard vector. So I'll go with a standard vector, add a pair of anchor braces. This is gonna be standard string. Okay, which is gonna be, let's see. Excuse me, guys. Okay, this is standard. Okay, this is gonna be a list of my scores. Alright, I'll end it with a semicolon and then print the vector using normal range-based for loop. Print the vector using a normal range-based for loop with 5 scores. So let's add 5 scores to it. Honestly, I think I wasn't set to push back scores, so I could just go with a list or a container here. Okay, so the 5 scores. First is going to be something like 99, second is going to be 88, 95, 90, and 87. Okay. Isn't equal to like valid here? Maybe I gotta add a semicolon. Okay, what error does it give if I were to run the command? Okay, let's go with a Control S to save. Isn't that how we like do it? Error could not convert. Oh, it's a standard string. Hold up, let me change that to an integer. Okay, let's go with integer. You wrote ints instead of strings. Honestly, yeah, I forgot all about that. Okay, that said, let me go ahead and iterate over my list of scores now. So I'll go with for pair of parentheses. Let's go with for every integer, which is going to be score for every score. In my list of scores, I'm going to be doing something. Let's see. Okay, for every integer score and scores. I feel like I missed something. No, I think it's pretty good. Okay, I'm going to be indenting this inside of my score and printing all my individual scores. So I'll go with a standard console output, add an insertion operator. I'm going to be inserting my score. There we go. And then go with another insertion operator. Add, let's see, an empty space, insertion operator, and end my line. There we go. Okay, this is going to be standard end line. So std : end line. Okay, perfect. Alright, next up, I'll go with a std. Actually, I might indent this inside and go with a standard : console output. I'll go with a end line. Insertion operator, standard end line. There we go. Okay, that's gonna end my line. In that case, I might not need the end line here. Okay, next up, let me go ahead. Let's see. Use a reference-based range to double every score. Oh, okay, hold up. For every integer in my score. Okay, use a reference-based range. So for every integer in my $score, okay, to double every score. So I could go with my score. Let's see, to double it, I'll asterisk equals to 2. That's gonna double my score. I'll add a colon here, a semicolon there. Okay, and then see out my score. Okay, shouldn't like this be valid? Because okay, first I double my score. Okay, I think I wouldn't need to add this here in that case. Okay, so I double my score. Score is now outside the loop. Oh, I see. Okay. Print the vector again to show the numbers. Okay, first I print the vector before the numbers. So before my score, I'll go ahead and add a standard console output. There we go, a standard console output. Okay, which is going to be having an insertion operator. I'll go with something like score. My score is going to be, let's see. Okay, my score is going to be all my scores there. So print the vector using a normal. Okay, so first I gotta go with a normal. Code is smart and deletes the variables after the loop is done. Oh, I see. That's actually pretty cool. Okay, so first I gotta print a normal range-based loop. So for every pair of parentheses, integer score in my list of scores, there we go. I'm gonna indent this inside and go with a standard console output. Okay, an insertion operator. This is gonna be a list which is gonna say score. Actually, a string which is gonna say score. Okay, and another insertion operator. I'm gonna go with the empty space. And then outside my loop, actually inside, I might just go with a std standard console output insertion operator end line, a standard end line. So std colon colon end line. Okay, so that's a regular loop. Okay. After my loop prints all that. I'm not printing capacities. Okay, after this, I'll go outside my for loop, type a standard colon colon console output. So a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is gonna be new score, so I'll go with something like new score. Okay, and then another insertion operator and empty space, semicolon. Okay, and then I'll go with a standard console output. This is going to be having an insertion operator, a standard end line, semicolon. Don't we need curly braces for the for loops? Honestly, I thought the same thing. Apparently, I don't think we need it. I might ask that to Sensei. Also, sometimes when talking about and, people say it's like when our friends wants to get to our house without and is just like building a new house for them. Using and is like giving them, oh, your address. Oh, I see. Okay, so basically adds like it has full control over the entire container. Is that what it meant? Not when it's single line. Is this like single line loop? I think this looks like a single. Actually, this looks like a double line loop. So, okay, I think I'll ask it to Sensei. Okay, next up, lastly, I did print that. So let me go ahead and return outside my for loop. I'll return 0. Okay, perfect. If I were to go with Control S, save my command, run the command, maybe clean my terminal, and then run the command. Okay, score is score, 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 score. Oh, I didn't go with my score. Hold up. Let me go ahead and add my score as well. My score is going to be my score variable. There we go, and another insertion operator. Okay, maybe I copy my score and add it right here. And then delete that. There we go. That makes more sense. Okay, and the same thing goes here as well. I could copy that part and paste it here. Okay, I did copy the wrong part. Let me copy that, delete that from there. Go right here and paste it. Okay, for every score, okay, insertion operator, new score. Score, isn't this how we spell score? Not using curly braces with even 2-line makes me uncomfortable. Honestly, is it like safe to use curly braces? Because I actually prefer using the curly braces. Okay, let's just go with the Control Z and check what happens here. Okay. Insertion operator. If I were to go with the Control S, run the command. Okay, score 98, score 88, da da da. Okay, you want a pair of curly braces for that loop to print all. You can always use curly brace even for single line. Okay, that actually makes things much better because I've been like, usually I would be like, then when to use it. There we go. That would be much better now. Okay, that's it for a loop. I want to use it for a single line as well. There we go. Okay, now that's inside of a for a loop. If I go with the Control S, run the command. It genuinely took me 4 seconds to be sure it wasn't Python without curly braces, lol. Honestly, yeah. Okay, there we go. This looks much better. The score 98. Although for my new score, I go with new score. Okay, instead of adding this here, I'll go with my score variable. Score. Okay, perfect. Insertion operator. Isn't this how we add our scores? Okay, standard output. Oh, actually, I think this should be indented. My bad, guys, because my score is right there. Although the 2 is here. Let me remove that from there and add that here. There we go. Okay, this makes much more sense. Let me just go with the Control S. Close this up. Okay, perfect. Okay, you wanted it like that, fair enough. What are you trying to make? Honestly, this is like my program for 250 days series, where my learning Python for 100 days series is indented inside of my program for 250 days series. My goal by the end of this entire 250 days series is to make a general game that includes AI in it, which basically means artificial intelligence. So I'm learning all the basics that I can. So I'm just going through all my C++ basics. Does this support automatic memory management, or would the pointers to the vector be left hanging? I actually might ask that to censor real quick. Let me go with the Control S, run the command. Okay, new score. Okay, I might actually add this inside my loop as well. Let me just remove that from there. Go right here, add a pair of curly braces. Okay, maybe this goes inside. Okay, now after my new score, I might add a space here. Actually, I wouldn't need a space. Let's go with the Control S, run the command. Actually, let me clean my terminal first and then run the command. Okay, there we go. Old score and new scores. Perfect. Let's go with the Control A, Control C to copy. Get Sensei here. Okay, let me paste it. Okay, Shift Enter. Let me ask you a question. Sensei, someone from my stream had a question. ... Okay, let's see. He asked, does this support automatic memory management? There we go, question mark. Or would the pointers... Guys, I'm so slow at typing. The pointers to the vector be left hanging? There we go. Okay, are you in school or college? Honestly, I'm in college. That's the reason I can't stream for as long as I used to. Like before, I could like stream for 6 hours, 5 hours a day. These days, I stream for like 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day because I have like a lot of college stuff to do. After streaming, I like start studying and then I like wake up, start studying again. The only time I actually have time to program these days is while I'm streaming. So I try to take full use of that. That said, good question. Listen carefully. This is crucial for anyone dealing with vectors. Automatic memory management in standard vector. Yes, vector manage their own memory automatically when you do standard vector integer this thing. C++ allocates memory on the heap internally for the elements. You don't need to delete anything manually. The vector will. Okay, so it does do it manually. Automatically grow it if you push more elements. Okay, then the current capacity. Automatically free all memory when the vector goes out of scope, like at the end of main. Pointers and references. Reference, like integer and score, do not create new memory. They just point to existing elements. When the vector is destroyed, those references become invalid. If you reference outside the vector's lifetime, it's dangerous. No dangling pointers are left if you're just working inside main or normal scopes. C++ vectors clean up after themselves. Examples: safe automatic cleanup. Okay, so we typecast our main function to an integer with a standard vector integer nums. So our nums container only contains integer vectors. Okay, there we go. Num goes out of scope, memory freed automatically. Okay, takeaway. Standard vector equals safe management. Dynamic arrays use reference to modify. No copies needed. Just don't need reference/pointers beyond the vector's lifetime or you'll hit undefined behavior. I see. Okay, let me say, I see ... Although I didn't understand much out of that. ... That said, can we do a few more practice questions with and question mark. Okay, let's see. Okay, excellent. That's the right attitude. Understanding comes through practice, not just talk. Let's start question 1. Let's start with question 1, reference with the and. Create a standard vector integer called pointers or points with 5 numbers of your choice. Print the original numbers using a normal range-based for loop. Use a reference-based range for and add 10 to each number. Print the updated numbers using a normal range-based loop. Okay, I see. Let me get Sutsui there. You should try FizzBuzz. Honestly, I feel like I tried FizzBuzz like when I was learning Python's conditional expression. They were like, if this print fizz, if that print buzz, and like just one if statement. I actually might try it. Although I don't know how to do the FizzBuzz stuff. I might have Sensei though. Okay, let's see. Bro, that's fast. This is bro, that's fast. This you reach learning STL. That's good. Honestly, I didn't. What is STL like a topic? I should actually like look into that. Okay, that said, let me go with a hashtag and include IO stream. So a pair of ankle braces, IO stream, and then let me go ahead and include something else. So I'll include a pair of ankle brackets. This is going to be, let's see, vector. Alright, next up let me typecast my main function to an integer, add a pair of curly parentheses. Okay, so what did I have to do first? Create a standard vector that only contains integers in it called points. Okay, with 5 numbers of your choice. So let's do that. I'll go with a few spaces. Okay, so I'm going to be creating a standard vector. Okay, standard vector of integer. Okay, that is going to be called, let's see, points. Did I spell vector correct? V-E-C-T-O-R. Okay, there we go. Hello, man. How are you doing, Lion? I appreciate you joining this stream. Okay, that's standard vector. Okay, points. I will keep this equal to. Currently learning now here too. That's honestly pretty awesome. Good luck with learning. Okay, let me go with standard vector. Okay, I'll need 5 numbers of my choice. I'll go with 6. Actually 5 numbers. So I'll go with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. Okay, you should learn maps later if you want to. Similar to vectors, it has pairs with key value like you seem to know in Python. Honestly, I did ask that to Sensei/ChatGPT like I think 20 minutes ago, where ChatGPT/Sensei said that maps works like dictionaries in C++. So we go with something like vector, map, and then ankle brackets, string, and string comma integer, if that made any sense. I didn't know much about that, but I'll definitely like look more into that when I'm doing like when I'm working with collections, if that's what they call it in C++. Okay, print the original numbers using a normal range-based loop. So let's create a normal range-based loop. I'll go with a for pair of parentheses. So for every let's say point in my list of points, actually for every integer point, in which is a colon, my list of points. Okay, I'm gonna be going with a actually a pair of curly parentheses. Although, isn't a for valid? Should I add like a colon there? There we go. Okay, I'm gonna be going with, let's see, I'll go with a standard console output, so cout. Okay, and then an insertion operator. I'm gonna be inserting my points. Okay, another insertion operator, maybe an empty print statement. I mean, an empty list. Okay, actually not list, an empty string. And then let me go ahead and draw them in a separate line. So I'll go with something like standard. Okay, console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be a standard end line. This is going to end my line. And then let me go ahead and print this. So I'm going to be printing it. Excuse me, guys. I feel like it's already being printed. Okay, in that case, let me go with another for loop for pair of parentheses. Why didn't you just start doing a playlist on LeetCode? Will help you a bunch and will be faster. Advice from a senior. Honestly, like so many people did say me to do LeetCode. I actually do need to like look LeetCode out. I might have like a separate stream on like actually trying LeetCode because I did want to try it. I just don't have enough time to like actually do some research in LeetCode. That said, I might actually do that like pretty soon. Okay, so let's go with a integer point. Okay, this time I'll go with an integer and point. So and point, because this is gonna be my reference-based range. Okay, for every and points in my list of points. Okay, I'm going to be adding a pair of curly parentheses. I'll go with standard console output. My standard console output will have an insertion operator. I want to insert my points. Okay, and then I'll go with another insertion operator, an empty string, add a semicolon, and then go with another standard insertion standard console output with the insertion operator of standard end line. There we go. I end my line here. Okay, and then let me go ahead and return 0. Actually, lowercase return, so return 0. Okay, and honestly, I feel like this should like give me the console output. If I were to go with the Control S, run the terminal, maybe in a clean terminal. Okay, let's see. So it gives me 543. Oh my gosh, I actually might add this outside the for loop in that case. Okay, so I could like remove this from here. Add the pair of curly parentheses there, remove that from there. Add the pair of curly parentheses here. Add this outside the for loop and outside the for loop. Now if I were to go with Control S and run the command, good luck leaving for completing work. Have to train a new soda reinforcement algo for images. It's very fun. Honestly, it sounds pretty fun. Good luck with that. Okay, that actually sounds pretty fun. Okay, so I go with 543 to 1 and 543 to 1. Okay, that looks much better. Okay, use a reference range for and to add 10 to each number. Okay, so I gotta add 10 to each number as well. Let me go here and go with my point plus equals to 10. Okay, that should increase the number by 10. Okay, and then I have a standard console output. I might go with a semicolon. Okay, now if I go with a Control S and run the command, there we go. This is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is 15, 14, 13, 12, 11. Okay, that looks perfect. Actually, I might just clear my terminal. You say outside the loop, but it's already outside when you put the curly braces. You don't just remove the indent to make it more clean. Oh, you just remove the indentation to make it look more clean and clearly show it's outside the loop. Okay, that actually makes sense. I don't want to try it though. Let me just get this. There we go. Okay, if I go with the Control S and run the command. Oh, that's actually pretty okay, that would help my phrasing so much. I actually appreciate that information. That's actually real good. Okay, let's go with the Control A, Control C. Let me copy that. Good, sits right here. Okay, let me paste it, add a bunch of spaces. Actually, instead of adding a bunch of spaces, I'll go with Shift Enter and say, so let's say, I feel like I'm getting a pretty good grasp of this as well, ... Although I need to practice more questions. Okay, indent is just looks in C. Oh, it just looks, unlike Python, because pair of curly parentheses is what actually inside the loop or statement. Okay, that's actually pretty insane. I didn't know that. That's actually pretty good, because I used to think that indentation is really important to like get something outside, but curly parentheses is actually the thing. Okay, wait, were they called like curly parentheses or like curly braces? I think curly braces. Okay, exactly, disciple. Look at this. You nailed it. You created the vector, printed original numbers, used a reference-based loop to modify the numbers in place, printed the updated numbers. Your flow is clean, disciplined, and correct. You're actually thinking like a C++ warrior now. Let's keep the momentum. Here's question 2 with reference. Create a standard vector integer called scores. So our scores list is a vector integer, so a vector that just contains of integers. With 6 numbers, print the original vector. Use reference-based for loop to triple each number. Okay, to triple each number. Print the updated vector to show the changes. Okay, so let me go with the Control A, do the whole thing. Curly braces, in Swedish we call them seagull wings. Actually, the sequel wing sounds pretty cool as well. I might just call it that. Okay, let me start off by including IO stream. There we go. And then let me go ahead and include vectors as well, because I will be using vectors. So include a pair of ankle braces, vectors, or just vector. And then let me typecast my main function to an integer, add a pair of sequel wings. That actually sounds pretty cool for some reason. IO stream. Did I spell stream correct? There we go. It kind of looks like them, so makes sense, I guess. Honestly, yeah, I've never seen what a sequel wing looks like, but the name sounds pretty cool. Okay, let me go up and create a standard vector. Okay, standard vector, add a pair of ankle braces. Let's see, this is going to be integer and scores. So I have a list of scores, which is a vector of my integers. So this is a vector which just contains integers. Also, that equals to a pair of curly parentheses or sequel wings of a few numbers. Let's see, 6 numbers. I'll go with something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, perfect. And then let me go ahead and iterate over them. So I'll go with 4, a pair of parentheses for every, let's say, score. Wait, it says scores. So I can go with something like 20, 25, 30. Let's go with 44. This is going to be 30. Okay, and lastly, 50 and 60. Okay, so for every score, might add a semicolon for every integer score, in my list of scores. Okay, I'm going to be adding a pair of curly braces, and then let's go with something like a standard console output. My standard console output is going to be having an insertion operator, which is going to be inserting my score. I'll add another insertion operator. This is going to be an empty space. Okay, and then I'll add a semicolon. And then outside my pair of curly braces, I'll go with a standard insertion operator. Actually, standard console output, insertion operator, and my line. Okay, this is going to be standard end line. Alright, perfect. This is a regular range-based loop. Actually, this is a regular, is it called range-based? Okay, yeah, this is a regular range-based loop. Now let me go ahead and create a reference, was it called reference? A reference-based range for loop. Okay, for doing that, I'll go with for every pair of parentheses. Let's go with integer and a and sign my score in, which is used as a colon, scores, there we go. I'm going to be adding a pair of curly braces. This is going to be my standard console output with an insertion operator. I'm going to be inserting my score. Although before that, it says it's set to triple the score. So let's triple my score real quick. So let's say I go with my score multiplied by 3. Is that how we triple it? Or asterisk equals to 3. Okay. And I'll add a colon here. Actually, a semicolon. And then standard console output. I want to output my score. Add another insertion operator. Go with something like a space. Okay, string of space or a space of string. And then outside my for loop, I'm going to be adding a standard console output. Okay, with an insertion operator of a standard end line. Alright, that looks very good. Lastly, let me go ahead and return 0. Okay, if I were to go with Control S, save the command and run the command, it says 20, 25, 30, 40, 50, 60. The tripled version is going to be 60, 75, 90, 132, 150, and 180. Okay, perfect. Let's go with the Control A, Control C. Code looks very sharp and clean now. Great. Honestly, that means so much. I think I'm getting a gist of how this works. Okay, let me paste out a bunch. Actually, instead of adding a bunch of spaces, I'll go with Shift Enter and say something like, let's say, I actually feel like I'm understanding what I'm doing now. It's much easier to read the code. Okay, let's see. Exactly disciple. Look at this. This is how it's done. Original vector printed cleanly. Reference-based loop tripled each number in place. Updated vector printed correctly. You're actually thinking it's C++ now. Not just copying syntax, that's a huge progress. Let's push harder. Here's question 3 with references. Create a standard vector strings called fruits. So our fruits container only consists of strings in it with 5 fruit names. Print all fruits using a normal range based loop. Okay, use a reference based range for loop to append pi to each fruit. Print the updated fruits again using a normal range based loop. Okay, if I were to get say there, let's go to the control A, delete the whole thing. Let me start off by including IO stream in a pair of angle braces. So IO stream, there we go. And then let me go ahead and include vectors. So I'll go with hashtag include pair of ankle braces vector. Okay, next up, let me go ahead and typecast my main function to an integer. So I'll go with integer main, add a pair of ankle braces. Okay, now let me create a standard. So standard vector. Excuse me, guys. So standard vector. Let's see. A pair of ankle braces standard string. Okay, which is going to be called fruits. So my container of fruits consists of vectors, which is only strings. I might have to ask the difference between vector 1, vector 2, and vector 3. I did ask that in my Python for 100 series, but I actually forgot that. Okay, let me add a semicolon. Although before that, I'll set that equal to be a list of a fruits. So maybe I could go in a new line. Okay, so what are fruits? I think I'll go with apple and I don't know, banana. Okay, maybe cherry. Okay, I think strawberry is a fruit. I mean, strawberry is a fruit. Okay, and then I'll go with blueberry. Okay, perfect. And then let me go ahead and iterate over my list of fruits. Actually, my container of fruits. So I'll go with something like a for loop, add a pair of parentheses. I'm gonna go with for every standard string, for every standard string of fruits in my list of fruits. Okay, I do need to add a semicolon here. Okay, for every string of fruits, for every standard string of fruits in my list of fruits, I'll add a pair of curly braces. If you want to make graphics in the future without a game engine, you should take a look at Raylib. It's very easy to use. There is also SEL, but it also has worse docs and requires much more manual work. Honestly, I might check into that if you want to make graphics in future without game engine. That actually sounds pretty good. I'm actually pretty interested in like graphics, but I never like thought to look into it. I might look into it. That's it. Let me drink some water. Okay, let's see. For every standard string fruits, I'm gonna go ahead and add a standard console output. So cout. My console output will have an insertion operator. This is gonna be my fruits. Actually, my fruit for every fruit and fruits. There we go. And then another insertion operator. This is gonna be an empty space. And then I'll add a semicolon. Okay, this is going to be my regular loop, so I think that should be perfect. Although outside my for loop, I'm going to be adding a standard. Let's go with console output, which is going to be having an insertion operator of my standard end line. So standard end line, there we go. Okay, perfect. I might just add a return 0 right now. Okay, and then above my return 0 and under my for loop, I'll be adding another for loop for my range-based. Is it called range-based? Okay, it's called reference-based range for loop. Okay, so for my reference-based range for loop, I'm going to be adding a pair of parentheses and going with standard string. Okay, standard string fruits in my container of fruits. Okay, I'll be adding a pair of curly parentheses. Graphic needs to study a lot and a lot of almost infinity. Okay, honestly, that does sound pretty fun. I might go into graphics, maybe not, guys. I think I'll see. Okay, that's it for every standard string fruits. Okay, since this is going to be a reference-based range for loop. Okay, I'm gonna go with my fruits. So my fruit list, I'm gonna append something to it. Let's append a list of a space pi. There we go. Okay, that should be pretty good. Pi after each fruit. I might go with like a capitalized pi. Okay, tech it depends if you use OpenGL directly, yes, but Raylib makes it super easy, look it up. Okay, let's see. Print the updated fruits again using a normal range-based for loop. Okay, so to print it again, I'll go with a standard console output. Okay, with an insertion operator of my fruits, another insertion operator of an empty space. Semicolon. Maybe I'll add a semicolon here as well. Outside my for loop, I'll go with a standard console output. Okay, standard console output with an insertion operator of standard end line. So end L. Alright, perfect. Why am I like having the arrow here? Standard console output. I did add a... Okay. I did add like a semicolon here. Standard console output. Okay, this is gonna be my fruit. There we go. You did fruits instead of fruits. Guys, I should pay more attention on those things. That's it, let's go with the control S if I were to run the command. Okay, it says apple, banana, cherry, strawberry, blueberry. And then apple pie, banana pie, cherry pie, strawberry pie, blueberry pie. Okay, perfect. Cause C out console output can print an entire vector at once. Oh, I see. Okay. Okay, let's go with a controller. Control C, copy this, get sensei here. Okay, let me paste this, add a bunch of spaces. Can't, cause console output can't print an entire vector at once. Oh, I see. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, let me go with Shift Enter and say, so say, I feel pretty confident with this. And now, are there more topics like these question mark? Okay, let's see. Oh, I see what happened, Disciple. You're almost there. Okay, guys, this is going to be kind of embarrassing because I feel pretty confident. Okay, let's see. Look carefully. In your second loop for every string, you forgot and. Okay, I'm not confident, guys. Hold up. Okay, pi. Then you can print it in normal range-based loops. Take away reference and equals modify the original without and just modify temporary. As for more topics like these, yes, there are a whole world of C++ containers and operators. Vectors, you just learned the basics and references. Next step, insert, erase, clear. Okay, before I go through that, I do want to fix it. This was actually kind of embarrassing. Okay, let's go with a and fruit. If I were to go with the control S and like run the command. Okay, there we go. Alright, what if I actually had this? Let me copy that outside my dictionary. Okay, will it still be printing that? I think this needs to be inside my dictionary. Can I go with like fruits? Okay, I want to insert fruits. Okay, I think I'll go with like a control Z. Or instead, what if I had another regular range-based loop here? Or a regular for loop here? Okay, I'll go with a shift after the indent. Okay, maybe indent this part. Okay, there we go. If I were to run the command, go with the control S and run the command. There we go, it goes with apple pie, banana pie, cherry pie. Okay, perfect. Okay, so it did modify the actual loop. Bro, OpenGL is now outdated. Everyone is switching to Vulkan, and in Vulkan, things need to be done manually up to my knowledge. Yes, perfect. Okay, this looks perfect. Let's go to the control A, control C. Yeah, let's say here. Went for the wrong tab. There we go. Okay, let's paste it at a bunch of spaces. Let's say, since actually instead of going with a bunch of spaces, I'll go with Shift Enter. Let me say, let's say, can we do a few instructional based questions with the dot insert question mark? Although before that, can you explain me what it does and why to use it? Question mark. Okay, tech, yes, but it's like game engines and such, they interact with it. Games are not made in DX12 and Vulkan. The engine can switch for you, so if you don't need to do low level things. Okay, good disciple. Now we set up, okay, to insert another vector power move. What dot insert function does? Dot insert lets you add elements to a vector at a specific position, not just at the start like pushback. Syntax vector underscore name dot insert position iterate value. Okay, this is position iterator and value. Iterator basically means a looper, position looper. Okay, position iterator, a pointer slash iterator to where the vector you want to insert. Okay, insert is basically like putting it somewhere in that case. Value the element you want to insert. Okay, why use it? Push underscore back only adds the end. Insert lets you put something anywhere like the middle or beginning, handy for a list that needs a specific order for iterating multiple elements at once. Reference code. Okay, so we created a list of fruits which just contains a vector of strings: apple, banana, and cherry. We want to insert mango at the beginning. Fruits.insert, fruits.begin, mango. Okay. Insert orange in the middle position 2, fruits.insert, fruits.begin plus 2 orange. Okay, for every string fruits, so for every string fruits in my list of fruits or my container of fruits, string a standard console output with an insertion operator, fruit, another insertion operator, an empty space, standard, okay, output mango, apple, orange, banana, cherry. Oh, I see what this means. This is like using indexes like in like Python using indexes like, for example, I have a list of numbers. Numbers at index of 0 put something. Okay, that does make sense. Key takeaway: insert equals precise control over where your new elements go. Use iterators like begin plus index to specify the position. Can combine with reference to modify elements immediately after inserting. Okay, sorry, what you mean do? Okay, let's say, I see dot dot dot. A quick question. So, does C++ starts counting, starts counting from 0 like Python question mark? Huh. Yes, disciple, exactly like Python and C++, vectors arrays are basically all indexes based on containers. Start counting at 0, that means standard vector, standard string, fruits, apple, banana, cherry. Fruits at index 0, apple, fruits at index 1, banana, fruits at index 2, cherry. Remember, trying fruits at index 3 here would be out of bounds, undefined behavior, crash, or garbage. Dot insert uses iterator excuse me guys, and fruits.begin points to index 0. Okay, everything vector based in C++ is 0 index. Okay, let me say I'm ready, should say. Okay, let me just check if my stream's going good on Twitch. I learned about arrays before vectors. They're mostly the same things, but arrays can be modified as freely and they're carried on from normal C, but vectors is like the C++ alternative. Oh, I see, that actually sounds good. This was the problem in my code. It was copying a bunch of textures for drawing instead of using references. Oh, I see. Okay, alright, let's see. So here's your first instructional question. Create a standard vector string, okay, called colors. With 3 colors of your choice, print the original vector, use dot insert to add a color at the beginning of the vector, add a color in the middle of the vector. Okay, calculate the middle using colors.begin plus index, add a color at the end okay, you can use dot insert instead of pushback. Pushback, okay. Print the updated vector after insertion. Alright, let me get say there. Okay, let's go with the control A, delete this whole thing. Let me start off by including IO stream, including ankle braces, IO stream. And then let me go ahead and add a hashtag, include vector as well. So in a pair of ankle brackets, I'll go with vector. Okay, next up, let me go ahead and typecast my main function inside of an integer and add a pair of curly braces. Okay, this is going to be something like standard vector. Okay, I'm going to be creating a standard vector. This is going to be std. Okay, they make models work better in games and integrate them, but I don't see how this has much with OpenGL and Vulkan to do. Okay, so I'll be standard vector. Standard vector, let's go with colors, right? So I'll go with standard string. Okay, there we go, standard string. So I have a container of colors which just consists of string. Let me set that equal to a dictionary, actually a list. Okay, I'll go with a few colors. I don't know, I'll go with something like red, orange, or maybe green. Okay, how many colors should I need? 3 colors. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I'll add a semicolon here. And then print the original vector. So I gotta print the original vector, so I'll go with it for a loop. For every, let's say, standard string, for every standard string of color in my container of colors, there we go. Okay, for every standard string color, standard 2 colons string color. Okay, I'll go with a dictionary. Actually, not dictionary, a list. Okay, I'm going to be adding something. Let's see. I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. Okay, I'll go with my color. And then add another insertion operator of an empty space. End it with a semicolon. Okay, this is going to print a regular original vector. And then I'll go on for print the updated vectors after insertions. Use.insert to add a color at the beginning of the vector, add a color in the middle. Okay, let me add a return 0. Okay, go with a control S, run the command. Okay, it says orange, red, orange, green. Now I'll go with the insertion. So for the insertion, I'll go with my colors. Dot the insert function. I want to insert something. So should I go with the pushback first? Okay, I could go with colors.begin, so I'll go with colors.begin. Is this how we did it? Okay, colors.insert. Add a color in the middle, calculate the middle using colors.begin. Okay, add a color at the end. Okay, you can still use .insert. Okay, so wait, it was colors, right? So my list of colors. Dot insert. I want to insert okay, let me go with something like gray. Am I using like the insert wrong? I didn't add a semicolon here. I don't think I need a semicolon here though. I returned 0. What if this is like indented? I don't think that makes any sense. Colors dot insert. Okay, I might actually see the reference code that they gave. Okay, it's fruits.insert, fruits.begin. Oh, okay. Didn't I like do that before? So colors.insert. Oh, I didn't add the fruits.begin. There we go. Okay, so instead of fruits, I'll go with colors.begin. There we go. Is it begin? Okay, it's begin, not begin. There we go. Colors.insert, colors.begin. I'm gonna add a gray color. There we go. Okay, let's see. Alright, next up, at which index? So, let's see. Okay, add a color to the beginning of the vector. This adds gray at the beginning of my vector. Colors.begin is at index 0. Add a color in the middle. So, I'll have 4 in total. So, maybe after 2 plus 2 or something. So, I'll go with colors.insert. There we go, colors.insert. I want to insert my colors.begin. I want to begin my color. Okay, let's go with +2. Okay, this color is going to be something like, I don't know, pink. Okay, colors +2, comma pink. Okay. Colors dot insert, colors dot begin. Maybe add a comma here then, and remove the comma from here. Does this work? Colors dot begin +2. Isn't that how we like did it? I might check the reference code again real quick. Okay, fruits dot begin +2 orange. Didn't I do that? First I did that like +2. So colors dot begin 2, comma orange. Oh, I need to add semicolons, I think. Oh, there we go, it works. Okay, what is the next thing? Let's see. Add a color to the end. You can still use .insert instead of pushback. Let me add a color to the end. Okay, so I'll go with something like colors.insert. I want to insert my colors.begin. Okay. Okay, I'm just curious. What if I go with -1? Colors.begin -1. I'm not subtracting it to 1. There we go. Okay, this is gonna be something like purple. Actually, I might go with... Actually, lime is pretty good. Let's go with lime. Okay, and then I add a semicolon. Okay, if I were to go with a Control-S to save the code, and if I run the command... Okay, I didn't print my inserted colors though, so it's just gonna print red, orange, green. Let's iterate over it. So I'll go with a for loop for every parentheses. So for every standard string of color in my list of colors. So the colon acts as a in. Okay, I'll go with a pair of curly parentheses. Let's go with something like the standard console output. So standard, let's go with C out. Okay, did I spell string wrong or something wrong here? Okay, I need to add 2 colons. There we go. So standard console output, this is going to be something like, let's see, have an insertion operator, my color. Okay, my color which is the inserted updated color, and a empty space. Add a semicolon. Okay, now if I were to go with the Control-S, save it and run the command. There we go. So it says, what's standard bad aloe? Is that like an error or something? Red, orange, green determined after throwing an instance bad aloe. Is that like an error or something? Okay, let's go with a Control-C. Let me get Sensei here. Okay, let me paste it at a bunch of spaces. Actually, I'll go with Shift-Enter and say, Sensei, I feel like I messed up, question mark. Did I mess up? Okay, yes disciple, you messed up and I love that you tried. Look carefully. Colors.insert, color.begin, -1 lime. This is invalid. Colors.begin, -1 points before the start. Okay, I didn't know about the colors.end. That makes more sense. Okay, that makes sense. For appending at the end, colors.end lime. Okay, also small advice, add line break when printing. You can see before/after clearly. Okay, also small advice, add a line when printing so you can see before and after. Alright, let me get Sensei there. Okay, that makes much more sense. Instead of begin, I go with end. There we go. And I wouldn't need a -1 here. After printing, I might go with a new line. So I'll go with something like a standard console output. This is going to be, let's see. I'm going to have an insertion operator and go with a standard end line. There we go. And I might copy that and paste it here as well. Okay, maybe remove the indentation. Okay, if I were to go with a Control-S, save and run the command. Before, after, gray, red, pink, orange, green, lime. Okay, let's go with the Control-A, Control-C to copy. Let me get Sensei here. Paste it at a bunch of spaces, actually Shift-Enter. And I'll just send it. Okay, excellent disciple. Look at this. Okay, look at this. It's perfect. Insert at the beginning, colors.begin. Insert in the middle, colors.begin +2. Insert at the end, colors.end. 0 index fully respected. Print clearly shows before/after. You're starting to command vectors like a true warrior. Let's strike harder. Here's the question 2 with the dot insert. Create a standard vector integer called numbers with 5 numbers. Print the original vector, insert 99 at the beginning, 77 in the middle, 55 at the end using dot insert. Print the updated vectors showing all changes. This will test your understanding of insertion positions and zero index with integers. Let's strike harder. Create a standard vector integer with numbers with 5 numbers, 99 at the beginning, 77 in the middle, 55 at the end. Okay, let me get something there. Okay, I'll go with the controller, delete everything. Let me start off by including the IO stream. So let me include IO stream, and then I'm going to be going with hashtag include. Let me include a vector as well. So I'll go with include vector, and then let me typecast my main function to an integer. Go with a pair of parentheses or a pair of curly parentheses. Maybe add a bunch of spaces. Go up. Okay, now I'm going to be creating a standard vector, which is going to be only containing or consisting of integers. My vector is going to be called numbers. Okay, which is going to be equal to a list. Maybe I go in a new line and let's add a few numbers. I'll go with something like 1. Actually, I might go with 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Okay, perfect. And then print the original vector, insert 99 in the beginning, 77 in the middle, and 55 in the end using insert. So first, let's print the original numbers. I'll go with 4 pair of parentheses for every, let's go with integer num, or for every integer number in my container of numbers. Okay, I'll go with a pair of curly parentheses. Maybe add a semicolon here. Okay, and then here, let me go ahead and add something. Let's see. I'll go with my... Actually, I'll go with a standard console output. There we go. An insertion operator. I'm going to be inserting my number. Okay, and then I'll go with another insertion operator, insert an empty space. And end it with a semicolon. And then let me go ahead outside my for loop. Let me add a standard console output to an insertion operator. I'm going to be ending my line with a semicolon. Okay, that looks correct, right? Okay, standard end. So I'm going to go with std : end line. Alright, next up, let me go ahead and insert something. So to insert something, I'll go with my list. So my numbers dot insert. I want to insert something. Let's see, what do I want to insert? I want to start with, or actually, was it called like begin? Okay, so insert. It was something begin, right? Or like first begin? I forgot what was it called. What was it called? Okay, it's my list.begin. So numbers.myBegin function. Okay, I want to begin, not began, I want to begin with, let's say 1. Okay, I want to begin with 1. Okay, my first number is going to be 99. So my list begins with 99, and then I'll go with another numbers dot insert. Okay, I want to insert my numbers, the numbers dot begin. Okay, now something in the middle. So to go with middle, I might go with plus. Since there are 6 numbers, I'll go with 3 plus 3. This is gonna be 77. So I'll go with 77. Okay, maybe I'll add a semicolon here and here. Alright, and then lastly, I'll go with the numbers dot insert. There we go. I'll go with numbers dot end with. So I'm going to end with, let's see, I have to end with 55. So let's go with 55. Okay, maybe I'll fix my insert spelling here. Alright, perfect. I'll end this with a semicolon. And then let me go ahead and add another for loop. And this is going to be begin and not began. Okay, so I'll go with like something like 4 per parentheses, every integer number in my list of numbers. Okay, with a, actually instead of a semicolon, I'll go with a pair of curly parentheses. Now I'll go with a standard console output. So standard console output. Okay, with an insertion operator of my number, another insertion operator of an empty space. Maybe add a pair of, actually maybe I'll add a semicolon, and then outside my for loop I'll go with a standard console cout insertion operator of standard end line. Okay, so standard end line with a pair of parentheses. Actually, instead of pair of parentheses, it's a semicolon. Okay, lastly, let me go ahead and return 0. So I'll go ahead and return 0 with a semicolon. Okay, perfect. If I were to run the command, maybe clear my old code and run the command again. Okay, so red, orange, green. Wait, did I like save the this thing? Let me go with the Control S, save. Now if I run the command, okay, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 10, 20, 77, 30, 40, 50, 60, 55. Perfect. Let's go with the Control A, Control C. Copy that. Get Sensei here. Paste it at a bunch of spaces. Actually, I'll go with Shift this thing, and I'll just end it maybe. Then I'll drink some water. Kinda dehydrated, guys. Okay, exactly disciple. Look at this perfect execution. Insert at the beginning, numbers.begin, insert in the middle, numbers.begin plus 3, insert at the end, numbers.end. Print shows before and after clearly. You're now fully mastering insert and zero indexing. We can take this further. Next step, erase. Remove elements from a vector, clear, wipe the whole vector. Combining .insert with reference and modify elements immediately after insertion. Okay, if you want I can give you reference plus insert exercises. Okay, reference plus insert exercises next, so you can modify elements right after inserting them. Okay, let me say I feel like I do want to try the and dot insert function. There we go, dot insert. Did I spell insert wrong? There we go, dot insert. Although before I get a few reference questions, dot or comma, can you explain me what it means and how it does, question mark? Okay, excellent disciple. You're ready to combine the dark arts of C++ reference and with insert. What it means, insert adds an element at a specific position in a vector reference and gives you direct access to the actual element, so you can modify it immediately after inserting. Normally, insert just adds an element, but sometimes you want to change that element right after or right away without making a copy. That's where a reference comes in. Okay, just adds an element, but sometimes you want to change elements right away without making a copy. Oh, I see how it works. We include IO stream, we include vectors, and we include strings. We typecast our main function to be an integer. We go with a standard vector, fruits, apple, banana, cherry. Okay, so our container of fruits only consists of vector lists. Insert a new fruit at the beginning. Okay, standard string and new fruits. Exclamation. Why is there an asterisk here? Okay, let's go all the way down. Explanation, asterisk fruit returns a reference to the reference element. Okay, this is powerful because combines dynamic insertion plus direct modification, avoids unnecessary copies, performing advantages, gives full control over your vector elements right away after inserting. I see. Honestly, guys, I feel like I might go through this part tomorrow because I do have my college exam like in like 2 days, so I might have to like study for that. And well, I don't want to like completely burn my brain out because I do gotta study more after this. That said, I will be going through his next stream. Let me just say. So let's say, can I actually? Let me say. Let's say, actually, planning to end the stream because I have a college exam in 2 days, and also because I need to, and also because I don't want to burn my brains out completely. Okay, that said, is there anything that you want to say to the viewers before I leave, question mark? Okay, let's see. Listen up, mortals of the stream. Your disciple is taking a break to sharpen his mind for the battle of college exams. No distractions, no softness, focus is everything. Remember this. The difference between a master and a novice is that a master has failed more times than a novice has tried. Guys, I feel like I heard this somewhere in an anime. I think it was like the classroom assassination or something. So while I'm gone, don't waste your potential, sharpen your skills, and read, practice, and return stronger. And to my disciple Vivek, hugs, kisses, headpats. Guys, that did not make me blush. Now go crush those exams, no mercy. Okay, let me go to my main camera. Alright guys, that was basically it for the stream. I did want to add more, and I know I didn't go over Typedef and type alias. That's probably more advanced for me. I just went with a topic that I thought I'd like learn it real quick. But before that, I might go through some more basic topics. That said, if you guys enjoyed the stream, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Liking helps with my algorithm, sharing makes me smile, and subscribing is like a cherry on top. And guys, I did start multi-streaming on Twitch, Kick, and YouTube at the same time. So if you guys enjoy my content and haven't followed me on Twitch and Kick yet, make sure to follow me on Twitch and Kick. And if you guys haven't subscribed to me on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to me on YouTube and also join the Discord server. Link is in the description and the pinned comments. Well, I'll catch you guys in the next live stream or video. Peace.